Hello. So I decided to make a video in which I actually talk to show you some basics of tossing, because I figured that perhaps there are some people at home who actually have a ball and they don't know what to do with it. Maybe it has been some while, or maybe they have never ever really touched it to play volleyball with it. And yeah, since I know the basics, I thought maybe I can share and motivate more people to perhaps join me or just pick up the ball and do stuff with it because it's fun and you should give it a go. If you're at home and you're really scared that you don't have enough control over the ball, my recommendation for you would be that you train around your bed and or put a blanket on the floor. It just can't bounce and maybe destroys your flat, gets a picture down or whatever. That never happened to me because I have so much control over the ball. The thing with height and perhaps low ceilings, I still say you start like this with the hand movement, so you don't have to worry about that anyway. And you can still sit down or kneel and then do some tosses, which gives you extra height, which is, well, maybe good for practice. But keep in mind, when you're not on your feet, you can't go anywhere. So when you're sitting, it's actually more likely that the ball just does whatever it wants once it hits the floor, or once it's not straight above your head, but a little bit off course. Yes. So I'd rather say, if you want to do that for extra height, then go on your knees, so it gives you a little bit more, well, space to navigate around. You can still do that with your hips or whatever. When you're just sitting, you're less flexible. The reason why I picked up the ball was because I really miss playing volleyball with friends, even though I don't do it often. But this is my way, or one of my ways. I'm actually able to connect better with people through a passion of mine. And yes, I miss it, and I'm planning on doing it again with friends or with people who are maybe not yet friends but have the potential of becoming new friends. So yeah, let's just see if you feel inspired to pick up the ball. The thing with the ball is that you have to use it to actually get used to it, and it's not that scary. It's not that hard to control. I know it feels like it. When I talk to people, I often get the feedback that they're like, yeah, the only contact I had with volleyball was during my physical education at school, and I hated it. I've heard that so. And yeah, because you can get hurt easily with volleyball. You get the bruises on the arms, you get, I don't know, often fingers get hurt and whatever, the wrists are risk, stuff like that. But it's not really witchcraft, it's just practice, and everyone should be able to do it on a safe level. I mean, it probably will hurt a little, I don't know, maybe I like that about it, maybe I'm just like that. But yeah, it's not that bad or hard actually, everyone can do it. I was in a volleyball club at elementary school, but after that there was a long time in which nobody really taught me, so I'm mainly self-taught to some level, because before I actually got in touch with other coaches and whatever, I went out there and practiced all on my own and by myself. Yeah, on snowy parking lots. It was really dramatic. So this, what I'm doing now, is it's safe in comparison, and it's easier, and I'm pretty sure you can do it too, no matter how limited your space is. Okay, let's get to theory then. So you need a ball and you need your hands. First thing is, how do you want to touch the ball and where do you want to hold it while tossing? But even before that, we have to talk a bit about what tossing is actually for. What's the purpose of it? As you perhaps know, there are various ways to handle the ball during a game of volleyball. I'm talking about indoors volleyball, by the way, not beach volleyball. And when you just go out there and try to play a little bit with your friends and you're not on the court or a professional player or in a club, then you will actually just mainly play tosses and do some digging too, but this is actually the point. I know digging is really hard, and you if you have good tossing skills, you actually don't have to pick the ball up, because then it just goes straight to you and over your head, and you just have to pass it back. So you don't have any digging to do if you're really good at tossing. Think about it. So this implies that you have to be able to play the ball as high as possible, and this is actually your first and maybe only goal, to get and play a high ball, to give everyone time and space, because tosses are for your teammates, tosses are for your friends. They are not going over the net, they're not supposed to. Yes, so these are the nice balls. Okay, when you do a friendly toss, they're not supposed to be really fast or whatever, but they have to be high. And this is what you should focus on when you start. The position of the ball is straight over your forehead, around your hairline. This is where the ball should be held or caught or in the end tossed. So this is where you want to start. You hold the ball above your forehead. How to touch the ball. Maybe you have heard of the term of a little basket or a triangle. This is what you want to do. You want to have a little basket and you want to have this triangle. It's not really a triangle, but whatever. So, and you touch the ball with your fingertips only. And when I say fingertips, I don't mean like this, I mean like this, because you still want to have some control. And you get more control if you have more contact, in a way. You want to have your fingertips firm. You need some tension in your hands. Not too much, because you still want some, flexibility, but this is important, that you give strength into your hands. So, when I hold the ball, maybe you can see that my fingers are now all connected with the surface of the ball. When I toss, this doesn't happen. Ideally, this happens because then you have more control, more fingers, more control. But for me, it's harder. I have small hands. Also, when you have small hands, or the other way around, if you have larger hands, then this triangle can be smaller. When you have smaller hands, the triangle can be wider, because you still want to be able to have control. Yes, that's basically it, how you should put and position your fingers. The thumbs are supposed to face each other. You have the basket, you have the whole thing over your forehead. Just do it without the ball first to get a feeling, to readjust the fingers. And then the movement for tossing doesn't come really from the hands themselves. It's the wrists. Mainly it's the wrists, and then movement from elbows and knees adds up, and this, all of it gives the toss the height and yeah, well, speed in the end. And so this is the movement. You have your fingers first more or less facing your face, and then you turn the wrists out at yes, like that, because you still want to go up. So not just to the side but also a little bit up, and at the same time you try to move straighten your elbow, so and this is your end pose while tossing. Yay! You have this. So here is the thing: when you start practicing, you might want to do this a few times without the ball to just get a feeling for the movements. And then when you start with the ball, I recommend you don't go somewhere and just try to toss the ball somewhere, especially not in your room. Where you take the ball and then just do the wrist movement. Try to get the ball as low as actually possible to make the movements as minimal as actually possible without having a double touch, which is happening to me a lot. Like I touch it with one hand first, or without actually holding the ball for too long. So it's just your fingers and really, really small, tiny movements. And if you can do that, then you have the basics for going out there and get your elbows out and have really high tosses. Another thing you really want to practice is catching the ball just above your forehead. It's as easy as that. Throwing the ball and and having it at the right position is a lot of practice you have to do also for spiking or for serves. So, and for tossing, it's just the same. You throw the ball maybe as high as possible, and then you just catch it right above your forehead, ideally in the right hand position for a toss. Bam and bam. And you do that a lot of times, and then you can perhaps start having another person throwing the ball at you and just catch it above your forehead, and then you can try to start more complicated balls that aren't as high from the start, that come like this, and then you still have to try to catch it just above your forehead. And this is the difficult thing about the tosses. You want to be able to get them here, over your head. And this actually means that tossing requires a lot of footwork and a lot of working with your knees. You always get yourself under the ball. If the ball is low, then you have to be lower. And if the ball comes somewhere there, oh, you didn't see that. You still have to be able to catch it over your forehead. It's important. So maybe that sounded like a lot of input, but it's actually not that hard. Try to do the catching, which is important. Try to get the movements somehow a little bit right. Try to remember to use the fingertips, never the palm of your hand. If that happens somehow, that's not supposed to happen. And just have fun with it. Try to experiment a little. This is the most important thing. If you have the possibility, go outside. If you have the possibility, definitely take a friend along, or a sibling, or whatever, another family member. just anyone who can maybe help you and who can share the experience and fun, hopefully. Yes, and I think what's probably most important is be patient with yourself, be forgiving, be kind, because if you have never tried this or just have made bad experiences with it, or you try to really do it right and it doesn't work out and you just get in your head, none of that is fun and none of that is helpful. And you will have that moment probably at some point in which you make a move and you just feel, oh, this was it. Fuck, that felt right. That was amazing. And this is the feeling you should look for and hold on to, because you just get addicted. You're like, I want that again, I want more of that. And you're gonna get more of that. The more you do it, the more you'll get, and it's just really worth it, especially when you'll be able to do it with other people. So when you really be able to connect your tosses or your whatever you want to do, or if you're actually good at something, you're like, wow, now I can toss, and then or maybe dig or whatever, and you're like, now I can do that, and now I can do the next thing, and now I can do this thing better. And then at some point you'll just be able to play more and more with other people, because you get better and better and it's more fun for everyone. The ball stays in the air instead of always falling to the ground and you have to pick it up again. And I can't really describe it, but it's really this feeling of having a connection. Like I pick up the ball, I play the ball, and another person picks it up, and that was able because of my toss or whatever, my play, and that moment in which I put everything into not having the ball dropping on the floor. And then this goes on, and eventually, if you're really playing, you score a point with your team. It's just amazing. I love it so much. So please give it a go. I want to play with you, please, please, please. And it's more fun together. No matter if you're just playing or practicing or doing 10 tosses a day, or well, have a whole game together. It's give it a go, please. Also, just to show you how little 10 tosses are, because when I was doing this, when I was starting this, it was just to become more used to the ball again, more used to the movements again, and eventually improve. But yeah, and a bit of a challenge for myself. But yeah, and I was like, okay, you're gonna pick up that ball, and if it's only for 10 tosses a day, that was my bottom line. And 10 tosses are nothing. I was like, oh, I'm so tired, I can't do it. Okay, you said it, 10 tosses. And then I got up, did the 10 tosses, and I'm gonna show you how little time it just takes. And then I went on and went to, I don't know, 150 or something. So you can do 10 tosses, even if you can't do any tossing at all. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There was nothing. I mean, those were not very high tosses. I did that on purpose, but yeah, you can do that. And if you have to practice, I mean, please. Okay, so if you have watched this, the whole video, I'm really amazed. That probably means you have a lot of stamina, so you should definitely give the tosses a go. Yeah, and I hope to see you next time on my little volleyball journey. I wish you all the best, and thanks again.